Okay, so now that we, got past some of the basic command stuff, let's talk about bash scripting basics. So bash is actually the language that's used to navigate and execute commands in Linux. So all of the commands that, we've learned so far are actually used in bash scripting with no modification to them whatsoever. So congrats, because you know bash scripting now. So all you need to do is use those commands and some basic knowledge of bash syntax, and we're gonna have you automating processes in no time. Like anything that we did now, you can literally do that with a bash script. So you can open up your preferred text editing application and get to work on some of the stuff that I'm about to show you right now. So here's the bash basics. So all bash scripts typically start with this pound and then the exclamation point /bin/bash, and that's at the top of the file. Like if you're going to create an actual bash script as a file, so you're going to want to make sure that this is at the top every time that you make a bash script. This pretty much tells the system what it's going to run this file with. Like this could be /bin/python or something if it was Python, but right now we want to use bash, so that's what it's going to interpret all the following lines of code are as. And just remember that the commands are going to execute in the order that you put them in. If you want to declare a variable, you would do the variable name equals and then your value. If you want to access it, you would just write a $ followed by the variable name. And if you want to print something out, on the screen, you would just write echo and then the parentheses and put your text in there. Or you can do echo and then the variable name. So let's go try some of this really quick. Let's see, open up a new file in v bash practice. Okay. So we're gonna go into insert mode. Remember, we start the scripts with the £, exclamation point /bin/bash. So now it knows to interpret this as a bash script. Let's say we make a variable called this class, and then we're going to do equals, and we can do single quotes right here or double quotes, and we're gonna say this class is super fun, and I'm going to tell my friends about it. There we go. Cool. Make sure you do that. So now let's go down and let's actually access this variable. So echo $, and then the variable name. So this class. So now hit escape, right quit, bam, ls. Now what you're gonna see is that the bash practice IO actually does not have execution rights. So what we can do is a chmod shortcut, which would be chmod +x, and then the name of the file, bash practice, bam. And now the color changes and we have actually execution access. So the way that we can run this bash script is /bash practice. And hey, it echoed out. This class is super fun and I'm going to tell all my friends about it. So make sure that you guys do that, all right? So that's just like some basics in the syntax. So now let's go over functions in bash. So to create a function in bash, it's going to look like this. You have the function name and then 2 parentheses and then these curly braces. And then you put your commands for the function inside of it. And to call the function, you just type the function name and it'll do the function. So if you want to create a function that takes in an argument from the command line, so you just get the function name again and then echo. So right here we have echo. It says the random number today is, and then it has $1. So that $1 sets the argument given at the command line to that variable right there. So whatever the first argument that you input at the command line, like after you put // and then the file name, and then you hit space and maybe you type in something else, like you type in like a random number, it would actually use that as the variable. And we can, for this one specifically, we could just use the random variable, which is should be in Linux by default, and you'll be able to just pass in a random number. So let's actually go and try to make this. Okay, so I'm going to start a new file with v bash function. So remember, we have to start with the £, exclamation point /bin/bash, and then we can go down. So what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna set a variable equal to our first argument that we're gonna pass in. So number set equal to number 1. So now the name of our function, which would be pass argument, let's say that, parentheses and curly braces. So now let's say echo today's user provided number is, and then you can put number. There we go, right there. So let's hit escape, quit. Oh, actually, sorry. Before we do that, of course, we have to call the function, which makes sense. So let's go ahead and call the function. So pass argument is all you have to do. Escape, right, quit. Make sure you give it execution access. Chmod plus x bash function. There we go. So dot slash bash function. And let's say 7654. There we go. Today's user provided number is 7654. So now you know kind of like the basics of creating a function in Bash. Okay, so now let's go over capturing user input. So to read input from a user and store it as a variable, we would use the command read-p, whatever text you want to print out, and then the variable name. And then to read input from a user silently for passwords and store it as a variable, you would say read-sp, then the text you wanted to print out, and then followed by the variable name. Okay, so now let's go try this out really quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna start a new file. Let's see, v input. Keep it simple. So let's put our command in here, /bin/bash. So now let's do read-p username. Keep it simple, and just put user as the variable we want to store it as, and read-sp password pass wd. So now we can echo these because it's stored as variables now. So let's say now let's echo, thanks, or just say thanks and then username. So let's say thanks user, your password is now pass wd. There we go. Chmod plus x input. Typed it wrong. Chmod plus x input dot slash input. So now it asks me for my username. So Anthony, password, I don't know, password. Thanks, Anthony. Your password is now password. There you go. So now you know how to take in user input. And I'm just going to give you guys an example of, a conditional statement in Bash really quickly. So when you see, -LT, that means less than. And then if you see -GT, that means greater than. So this one is asking you, so it takes your input, asks you how old you are. So what's your age? And then it says if the variable age is less than 16, then you're going to echo you are young. Else if, which is like pretty much saying like another if statement, if the age is greater than 60, we're going to say, hey, we're going to print out you're mature. Other than that, we're going to echo out you're in the middle, and then phi ends the conditional. Okay? So that's like a, kind of like basic of that. So, and that's, Bash kind of in a nutshell. It's a lot of conditional statements and just using the different syntax and commands to execute things that you want to do. It can go a lot deeper than we did, and you can go out and learn that on your own, but that's pretty much the basics of Bash.